Number 1. Subterranean Civil Defense Bunker, USA. In the early 1960s, the world stood on the razor's edge of nuclear destruction. The Cold War was at its peak, the Cuban Missile Crisis had terrified millions, and the threat of an atomic sky was a daily reality for everyday families. Across America, the government quietly constructed thousands of secret civil defense shelters, hardened underground spaces designed to keep essential personnel alive when the sirens finally sounded. Most of these shelters were dismantled or forgotten when the Soviet Union collapsed. But hidden beneath an unassuming plot of land in rural America sits one subterranean bunker that time completely forgot. Decades after the heavy steel door was sealed, researchers stumbled upon it, and what they found inside was not just an empty concrete box. It was a fully stocked time capsule from 1962, preserved in total darkness. Stepping through the rusted blast door feels like stepping directly into a historical thriller. The air inside is cold, still, and heavy with the scent of aging paper and dry concrete. As flashlights cut through the pitch-black corridors, the sheer level of preservation is staggering. Lining the walls are original wooden crates bearing the official Department of Defense seal. Inside these crates are thousands of emergency rations, unopened tins of civil defense biscuits, sealed water drums, and medical supplies manufactured over 60 years ago. Medical kits still contain unused morphine, vintage surgical tools, and radiation treatment tables. On a metal desk in the central communications room sits a rotary telephone, its cord tangled, alongside shortwave radio equipment that still carries its original vacuum tubes. This specific bunker was designed to shelter 24 key civil defense officials for up to 90 days following a nuclear strike. Geiger counters, designed to measure lethal fallout, sit in their original leather cases, calibrated and waiting for an alarm that thankfully never came. Vintage gas masks hang from rusty wall pegs, their rubber seals cracked with age but entirely intact. Row upon row of metal bunk beds are still fitted with folded wool blankets. But what makes this location so unnerving is not just equipment. It is the eerie sense of immediate abandonment. Coffee mugs remain on desks. Logbooks are left open to final entries recorded decades ago, and air filtration cranks stand ready to be turned by hands that never arrived. It is a stark, silent reminder of an era when humanity built cities beneath the earth out of sheer survival. Every tin of food and every sealed medical pack represent a moment in history when people genuinely believed tomorrow might not come. This civil defense bunker stands today not as a monument to war, but as a frozen shadow of fear. Which item in this 1960s bunker surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for the next Lost Bunker in our series. Number 2. Project 131, Biao, Citadel, China. In 1969, as border skirmishes between China and the Soviet Union escalated toward the threat of war, Chairman Mao ordered the creation of massive underground defense structures across China. Among these, none was more ambitious or mysterious than Project 131, located beneath the hills of Hubei province. Commissioned by General Biao, this secret citadel was built as a subterranean military command site designed to withstand full nuclear bombardment. Over 2 kilometers of tunnels were blasted into solid granite, fitted with blast doors, ventilation systems, and luxury quarters for China's elite command. However, following Biao's mysterious death in a plane crash in 1971, construction suddenly ground to a halt. The project was entirely abandoned, leaving a vast, labyrinthine network hidden in total obscurity. Walking into Project 131 today is like descending into a subterranean fortress frozen mid-construction. Damp, echoing corridors reach deep into the rock face, lined with heavy concrete arches and thick steel blast doors weighing several tons. While the grand living quarters and strategic planning rooms were never fully furnished, the military infrastructure remains remarkably intact. Deep inside, visitors can still see rusted ventilation ducts, heavy electrical conduits, and military communication lines running along the stone ceilings. Puddles of water reflect the dim lights, and the temperature remains an eerie, constant cold year-round. What makes Biao's Citadel so chilling is the sheer scale of ambition left unfinished. Rooms designed for high-level war planning stand completely empty, their plastered walls peeling from moisture, while massive emergency exit tunnels stretch into pitch-black hillsides. The complex feels less like an abandoned building and more like a ghost fortress waiting for a war that was narrowly avoided. Project 131 remains one of Asia's most secretive Cold War monuments. Which part of this Chinese underground citadel seemed most intense? Tell us in the comments, and stay tuned for the next bunker. Number 3. The Greenbrier Bunker/Project Greek Island, USA. For over 30 years, one of the top secret nuclear shelters of the United States government was hidden in plain sight, directly beneath a world-class luxury resort. Located under the West Virginia wing of the Greenbrier Hotel, Project Greek Island was designed to keep the entire U.S. Congress, all 535 members plus staff, safe in the event of an atomic war. Built during the Eisenhower administration in the late 1950s, the construction was disguised as a routine hotel expansion. The bunker was fortified with 2-foot-thick reinforced concrete walls, a 25-ton blast door, and enough supplies to maintain an emergency government for months without outside assistance. The absolute secrecy surrounding the location was flawlessly maintained for decades until an investigative reporter broke the story in 1992. Today, stepping inside Project Greek Island is like walking into a massive subterranean government complex frozen in time. The facility featured 1,100 beds, a fully equipped hospital with an operating room, a power plant, and a 400-seat auditorium that served as a temporary House of Representatives chamber. Long rows of metal bunk beds remain neatly lined up, complete with white linens and vintage bedside lockers. The communications center is filled with Cold War-era teletype machines, encrypted phone lines, and military broadcasting gear, ready to transmit presidential addresses to a surviving public. Even the cafeteria was kept fully stocked, with food supplies rotated continuously by hotel staff who had no idea what lay behind secret drywall panels. The surreal contrast between the luxury hotel above and the grim survival shelter below is what makes this bunker truly unforgettable. Every room was calculated to preserve democracy under the weight of nuclear fallout. What do you think about a government bunker hidden under a luxury hotel? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more hidden history. Number 4. Zeljava Underground Air Base, Bosnia/Croatia. Hidden beneath the Poljasevica mountain on the border of Croatia and Bosnia sits Object 505, better known as the Zeljava Underground Air Base. Constructed over 2 decades by communist Yugoslavia at an astronomical cost of $6 billion, this was one of the largest and most expensive underground military complexes in Europe. Designed to survive a direct 20-kiloton nuclear strike, Zeljava housed 3 whole squadrons of MiG, 21 fighter jets, complete with fuel pipelines, ammunition stores, and living facilities for thousands of military personnel. The complex featured over 3.5 kilometers of subterranean runways, allowing aircraft to taxi out from inside the mountain and launch instantly. When the Yugoslav Wars erupted in 1991, retreating forces deliberately detonated over 50 tons of explosives inside the base, turning parts of it into a ruined, scorched wasteland. Today, entering the dark caverns of Zeljava feels like stepping into a post-apocalyptic movie set. Massive arched concrete entrances, designed like the silhouettes of fighter jet wings, lead into pitch-black mountain tunnels. Despite the heavy blast damage, huge sections of the base remain standing. Rusted steel blast doors weighing over 100 tons still hang slightly off their tracks. Damaged aircraft fuel lines, collapsed ceiling structures, and military control rooms littered with scorched wiring stretched for miles beneath the earth. The extreme dampness and lingering chemical scents create an atmosphere of pure tension. Zeljava stands as a haunting monument to Cold War paranoia and military engineering carried to its absolute extreme. Would you dare to explore these massive underground jet tunnels? Let us know in the comments. Number 5. Burlington, Subterranean City, UK. Deep beneath the peaceful countryside of Wiltshire, England, buried 100 feet inside an abandoned stone quarry, lies Burlington. Codenamed Subterranean City, this 35-acre emergency capital was built in the late 1950s to shelter the British Prime Minister, the cabinet, and up to 4,000 essential civil servants in the event of a Soviet nuclear attack. Burlington was not just a small shelter. It was a functioning underground city, complete with miles of roads, a railway station, a telephone exchange, a medical facility, and even a secret BBC broadcasting studio. Designed to operate completely isolated from the outside world for up to 3 months, it remained kept on standby status for decades, quietly maintained at immense taxpayer expense until it was finally decommissioned in 2004. Exploring the silent tunnels of Burlington today reveals a terrifyingly detailed preservation of Cold War Britain. Electric buggies left in central transit bays sit waiting for officials who never arrived. The massive telephone exchange, once the largest in Europe, features row upon row of vintage switchboards and rotary phones, completely wired and functional. In the dining halls, thousands of unissued teacups, plates, and cooking pots lie neatly stored on metal shelving. The underground BBC studio still holds original microphones and soundproofing, meant to deliver the Prime Minister's final message to a devastated nation. Burlington is a ghost town preserved in total isolation, capturing the exact tension of Britain at the height of the atomic age. Which detail of the secret British underground city stunned you the most? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Number 6. Object 825 GTS, Balaklava Submarine Base, Crimea. Tucked inside the massive limestone cliffs of Balaklava, Crimea, sits Object 825 GTS, one of the Soviet Union's most closely guarded Cold War secrets. Built in 1953 on the direct orders of Joseph Stalin, this massive underground complex was constructed to serve as a nuclear-proof submarine base, capable of housing, repairing, and rearming Soviet submarines right under the noses of Western intelligence. The entire mountain was hollowed out to create a water canal over 600 meters long, protected at both ends by massive 60-ton hydraulic blast doors. Designed to withstand a direct nuclear attack up to 100 kilotons, the facility was completely self-contained, housing fuel depots, torpedo storage rooms, and living quarters for personnel who worked in total secrecy. When the base was deactivated in the mid-1990s, following the fall of the Soviet Union, it was left abandoned for years, preserving its terrifying Cold War atmosphere. Today, walking through the echoing water tunnels of Object 825 is a chilling experience. The massive concrete water canal, once filled with active nuclear submarines, reflects dim green overhead lighting. Heavy cranes used for loading torpedoes still hang suspended from the ceiling tracks. Down dark corridors, long rows of metal control consoles feature Cyrillic labels, gauge indicators, and emergency warning lights. The air inside is thick with cold humidity and the distinct smell of heavy diesel and machine oil that has soaked into the concrete over decades. Object 825 stands as a testament to the sheer scale of Soviet military engineering. What do you think about an underground cave built specifically for nuclear submarines? Share your thoughts below and stay tuned for the next bunker. Number 7. York Cold War Bunker, England. Standing quietly behind a modern housing estate in Yorkshire, England, lies the York Cold War Bunker, one of the most unusual survival sites of 20th century Britain. Constructed in 1961 by the Royal Observer Corps, the semi-subterranean two-story structure served as the regional headquarters for monitoring nuclear fallout and blast trajectories across the region. In the event of a nuclear war, a dedicated team of 30 volunteers will be sealed inside for up to 30 days, responsible for calculating nuclear weapon yields and transmitting life-saving fallout data to higher command. Maintained in constant operational readiness until 1991, the bunker was remarkably preserved, offering a rare and untouched look into Britain's civil defense systems. Entering the York Cold War bunker feels like stepping back into the late 1980s. The facility retains nearly all of its original monitoring equipment, communication systems, and personal artifacts. In the Central Operations Room, large glass plotting maps still feature handwritten markers tracking simulated nuclear strike zones. Vintage radio stations, teletype machines, and specialized radiation measuring equipment stand powered down on metal desks. The air filtration machinery, complete with massive carbon filters, remains in pristine condition, ready to scrub radioactive dust from incoming air. In the dormitories, folded wool blankets remain on metal bunks, and original instructional posters decorate the walls. The York bunker is an eerie, highly detailed reminder of the unseen civilians trained to stand guard during the darkest moments of the Cold War. Would you have volunteered to stay inside this monitoring bunker during a nuclear threat? Drop your answer in the comments. Number 8. Maginot Line, Fort Schoenenberg, France. Carved deep into the earth near the border of Germany sits Fort Schoenenberg, one of the largest and most heavily fortified subterranean strongholds of France's famous Maginot Line. Built in the 1930s to prevent a military invasion, this massive underground fortress stretches over 30 meters beneath the surface, featuring over 3 kilometers of subterranean tunnels connecting command posts, troop barracks, and heavily armored gun turrets. Capable of housing over 600 French soldiers for months without returning to the surface, Fort Schoenenberg was a marvel of modern engineering, complete with electric trains, air filtration plants, and massive diesel generators. During World War II, it sustained months of intense artillery bombardment, firing over 17,000 shells in defense before finally surrendering under official orders after France fell. Descending into the damp corridors of Fort Schoenenberg today feels like traveling back to 1940. Deep beneath the forest floor, the original subterranean electric railway tracks still run through dark concrete tunnels. Inside the troop quarters, metal bunk beds, personal lockers, and iron cooking stoves stand just as they were left when the soldiers marched out. The kitchen facilities, capable of feeding hundreds, still feature large copper kettles and bread-baking ovens. Deep within the combat blocks, massive steel ammunition hoists and hydraulic gun turrets remain fully intact, their heavy gears still coated in thick grease. Fort Schoenenberg is a preserved underground labyrinth that tells the tragic story of World War II defensive strategy. Which feature this French underground fortress impress you most? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more lost military sites. Number 9. Diefenbunker/Safarp, Canada. Buried 4 stories beneath the rolling hills of Carp, Ontario, lies Canada's ultimate Cold War shelter, the Diefenbunker. Named after Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, who authorized its secret construction in 1959, this massive 100,000-square-foot subterranean blast shelter was built to ensure the continuity of the Canadian government following a nuclear attack on North America. Designed to withstand a 5-megaton nuclear detonation from just 2 miles away, the 4-level concrete structure was shock-mounted and fully sealed, stocked with enough food, water, and fuel to keep 535 key political and military officials alive for 30 days. The bunker operated in total secrecy for decades as a central emergency government headquarters until it was finally decommissioned in 1994. Exploring the sterile, subterranean levels of the Diefenbunker today is an incredible journey into the heart of Canadian military history. Guarded by a massive blast tunnel designed to deflect shock waves, the interior remains remarkably preserved. On level 2 sits the Emergency Bank of Canada vault, built to hold the country's gold reserves during a war. The War Cabinet Room features original map displays, secure telephones, and leather chairs arranged for emergency meetings. In an emergency broadcasting studio, white microphones stand ready to transmit national messages. Long rows of metal desks hold vintage mainframe computer terminals, green screen monitors, and mechanical typewriters, all perfectly maintained. The Diefenbunker stands as an eerie, massive capsule of North American Cold War survivalism. What did you think about Canada's secret underground gold vault? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Arcdi 0/Tito's nuclear bunker, Bosnia and Herzegovina. Deep inside a mountain near the town of Konjic in Bosnia and Herzegovina lies Arcdi 0, better known as Tito's nuclear bunker. Constructed in total secrecy between 1953 and 1979 under the direct orders of Yugoslav President Josip Broz Tito, this staggering complex cost over $4 billion, making it one of the most expensive military projects in European history. Built 900 feet beneath the mountain, the horseshoe-shaped bunker was designed to shelter President Tito, his family, and 350 political and military elites for up to 6 months in the event of a global nuclear conflict. Concealed behind the doors of 3 ordinary-looking residential houses, the bunker remained a secret known only to a handful of high-ranking military officers for 26 years. Stepping through the blast doors of Tito's bunker today feels like stepping directly onto a 1970s movie set. The facility spans over 6,500 square meters and contains over 100 apartments, conference rooms, strategic war rooms, and Tito's private residential suite. What makes this bunker so eerie is that it was kept in fully operational standby mode right up until the 1990s. The neon lights still flicker along pristine corridors. Air filtration plants hum quietly, and original rotary telephones sit on desks beside official Yugoslav government documents. In Tito's personal quarters, silk-lined walls, vintage furniture, and a private bathroom remain untouched, waiting for a leader who never used them. Arc D0 is a breathtaking time capsule of Cold War paranoia and ultimate executive luxury. Which bunker in our series was the most terrifying to you? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more ultimate documentary content.